With the White House and Senate secured, Republicans are currently 4 seats short of the House majority, with 18 races yet to be called. But securing both legislative chambers and the presidency would be seen as a massive repudiation of Democrats in this cycle.
The state of the economy, that has been the albatross around Joe Biden's neck and Kamala Harris's neck. She never in any way separated herself from Biden on any significant policy. But the one, that matters the most was inflation and the economy to American voters. Harris and Democrats around the country spent about 80% of their time talking about abortion rights. And, clearly that was a driving and polarizing issue that impacted a lot of voters. But when you step back at the end of the day, far less than 1% of American voters are ever going to have to deal with abortion directly or indirectly. All voters have to deal with inflation, gas prices, home energy prices, less take-home pay.
And with the election integrity narrative quickly fading into the background after Republicans secured major wins across the board, the focus now on the peaceful transfer of power, with a key meeting at the White House this week. President Biden responding to this question over the weekend.
Is Trump still a threat to democracy?
I'm going to see him on Wednesday.
As Democrats now grapple with why they came up short, including President Biden's decision to seek a second term despite his advanced age, eventually quitting the race in July, but leaving little time to have an open primary to select a replacement. The current administration's failure to stop the war in Gaza, which hurt them among Arab American voters in key swing states like Michigan. A border and immigration crisis that became a central theme of Republican messaging. And then, fundamentally, an inflationary cost of living crisis that incumbency was simply unable to overcome. As experts and analysts pore over the data to theorize Harris's overwhelming loss.
Harris had a gargantuan task to come in, fill in for the designated Democratic nominee and try to win in about 100 days. She came really close. And I think it should be noted that, it's a large task. It's a huge task to put together a national campaign in that short a period of time. She was an unknown quantity compared to Donald Trump. And so people didn't necessarily know how she was going to govern. But what they did know was that she was attached to an unpopular administration that had a low approval rating. And people have nostalgic memories of the Trump administration, especially with respect to the economy before COVID. And considering how important that was as an issue in this election cycle, there were a lot of voters who thought that Trump was going to do better on the economy.
While other factors, including sex and race, likely to also have fundamentally impacted the outcome.
People who are aligned with Donald Trump are going to point to the fact that Donald Trump increased his vote share, particularly amongst Asian American and Hispanic groups, as evidence of, this isn't necessarily about race. People of color didn't vote for Kamala Harris at the same rate that they voted for other people. I think that's a very simplistic answer, and I think we're going to have to wait to see and factor in how things like racial resentment and perceptions of sexism are going to sort of correlate with a person's likelihood of voting for Trump or for Harris in this election.
With his election win, reports emerging that the special counsel will shut down the DOJ criminal cases against Trump before he takes office next year, while a Manhattan judge will rule this week whether Trump's May hush money fraud conviction would stand or be dismissed on presidential immunity grounds. Chauvin Briceby's SABC News, New York.